right, we are back. So, hello everyone, and welcome to another workshop of Build on Hackathon workshop series. And today we have Kirill with us from the Blockscout team. Kirill is the head of research at Blockscout, and he will walk us through the process of creating data-rich applications using Blockscout REST and JSON RPC APIs. But before we hand over the stage to Kirill, let's just understand a little bit about the Block Scout bounty we have for the Built on Hackathon. So Block Scout has a bounty of $1,000 in total, which will be divided between two winners. So if you go to the prizes section of the Built on Hackathon, and if you navigate to the Block Scout section, you will find all the information around Block Scout bounty. And if you click on this link, you will be taken to Footnotes Marketplace, and you will find the Blockscout add-ons which are eligible for this bounty. So the best two projects, whichever the Blockscout team likes, will get $500 each. And with that being said, I will pass it on to you, Krill, so that you can explain us all about Blockscout a little bit, greet the hackers, introduce yourself if you want, and take us through the journey of creating data-rich applications using Blockscout's REST and JSON RPC APIs. So hand it over to you. The stage is all yours, Kirill.
Cool. Thanks, Sahil. And thanks, Quick Note, for organizing such an amazing hackathon. Very happy to be a part of this online event. So yeah, let's just straight to the workshop and go through everything we have prepared about the Blockscout, the bounty, and the APIs and add-ons you can use throughout this hackathon. So I'm sure all of you are already familiar with what Blockscout is, but in a few words, Blockscout is an open source, #1 most widely used blockchain explorer for EVM chains, rollups, layer 1s, layer 2s, mainnets, devnets, and private testnets, and so on. So almost any EVM chain is now using at some point the Blockscout, and so we are the team behind this powerful open source block explorer. So throughout this workshop, we just will go through a few nice slides and words about the Blockscout, what it is, how it works, what do we offer for all these different chains, and what you can use Blockscout for. Then we'll just go through the APIs we have in Blockscout that are available as quick note add-ons and that we require you to use throughout this hackathon. And then just a couple more slides about the bounty itself, how you can win, some recipe towards the winners, and what will we offer as part of the prizes for the successful bounty applications. So about the Blockscout and the space we're in, as of the past couple of years, we have seen this explosive growth on the number of networks, on the number of different chains that are supporting EVM either completely or at some point partially supporting some specific features of EVM, or have some EVM facet as part of the blockchain, while still having some other non-EVM parts. But overall, what we see now is that we have more than 2,000 networks, just according to Chainlist and similar sites. All these networks are EVM compatible at some point, and all of them need for sure some Explorer, because Explorer is the probably most crucial part of any EVM network, and without fully accessible and public block explorer, it's really hard for anyone to understand, even if the chain is live, what happens in the chain, to get information about their transactions, about their blocks, their addresses, their actions that are going on chain. And so the block explorer is really this essential piece that any chain needs. And with these requirements, it's quite evident that no proprietary solution would be able to fulfill all those needs, because they are too rigid, too slow to change, to adapt to different requirements. They are very expensive. They cannot be self-hosted because they're not open source. They're not public for everyone. So also we have seen that a few teams try to build their own custom in-house block explorer, but again, this road is very complicated, very expensive, very long, and very complex to implement, and to implement all of these features. And in the end, it will still be very hard for users to switch between different chains and adapt to a new block explorer whenever they're using a new chain. So the most prominent solution in this sense, we believe, is if everyone will just use the same open source blockchain explorer, which we are building inside Blockscout. So Blockscout is very familiar to any EVM user of any EVM chain or rollup. So it's already most widely used across all these different chains. It's open source and can be self-hosted and can be hosted by us. It can be hosted by different, for example, different rollup as a service providers that are popular nowadays. And yeah, so the Blockscout implements most of the features that any EVM chain user expect the Block Explorer should have. And yeah, so we believe that's a very important product in the space that should exist. And we are really excited to be a part of the Blockscout team and to continue building such an amazing product. So Blockscout, as I said, is a fully open source. It's been used by more than thousands of these 2,000 networks. So some of these instances are publicly available. Some of them are publicly hosted by us on our domains. Some of them are hosted by us, but on different domains. Some of them are self-hosted by the community, by the teams driving certain chains. Some of them are hosted by different infrastructure providers, such as Rollup as a Service services and similar. So, and overall, the Blockscout is fully compatible with the layer 1 and layer 2 specifications across different rollup families. It has a lot of different modules and customizations that different chains and teams can tune and enable or disable for their particular needs of their particular chain or rollup. It has a lot of different modules and microservices for different sides of the five of their network that they want to use, they want to analyze as part of this Blockscout Block Explorer experience. So we recently revamped the UI, so it's much more now user-friendly, dev-friendly. It's very seamless to interact. It's very friendly for users, for devs, and most people really love it. So, and we also provide rich dev tooling for anyone who is willing to integrate the Blockscout APIs, the Blockscout contract verification as part of their BAPS projects, as part of their smart contracts they deploy on chain. So we have a bunch of different tools that make the life of the developers easier. So let's have a look at a few of them, in particular the APIs we provide and the APIs that are also available as part of the QuickNote add-on packages that is a part of the bounty for this hackathon. So in QuickNote add-ons packages, we have three different APIs. We have the REST API, which is the API that powers the UI, the new Blockscout UI on all of the chains we support currently. Then we have the JSON RPC compatible API and the transaction interpretation, or as we call it, transaction summary API. So let's just get through them one by one. So we'll start with the REST API. So as I said, the REST API is the REST compatible API that powers everything you can see on any Blockscout UI nowadays. Whatever you see on the main page, different graphs and statistics you see there, any information you see about a particular transaction or block or particular address, any token transfers or NFT means, everything, all this information is available through this REST API, and the UI uses it to display it in your browser. So if you want to do something similar to what our UI already does, or maybe convert it into some other form factor, for example, you may want to launch a different UI as part of the Telegram bot or something like that, or you want to integrate a specific component of Blockscout UI inside of your application. For example, you want to query all the token transfers for a particular user and display it as part of your user dashboard in your own dApp or something like that. That's where you can use our Blockscout REST API to do something like that, to query all these different actions the particular user or address performed and to incorporate them in whatever format you wish in your own project, in your own builds, in your own UI dashboards. So for the documentation of the REST API, we have, first of all, on every Blockscout UI, if you go to, for example, eth.blockscout.com/API docs, you'll see the nice Swagger UI, which lists all these different available REST methods and actually allows you to try them and immediately on this page without leaving it. And then we also have the documentation and links to the more extensive documentation on this API endpoints on the quick note add-on information. You can look for the particular endpoint there as well, and also find some examples how you can query the particular endpoint and what parameters it may require. So that's a few words about the REST API. Then the next API we have that's available as part of the quick note package is the JSON RPC compatible API. Basically, this API is already very similar to what quick note offers as a EVM, with the EVM compatible API as part of the ETH namespace. But here we offer the same as the Blockscout namespace, but with a very similar set of endpoints. Basically, this set of endpoints can be useful for you as a developer as a fallback or backup solution for any other JSON RPC provider you're already using. So it's always good to have this ability to cross-verify data across different JSON RPC endpoints and to check that data is present on multiple nodes, multiple independent RPC providers. You can also use this API to submit transactions faster through different endpoints in parallel. So you can submit it directly through the Quick Node API and through the Blockscout API at the same time. And hopefully the transaction will be included faster because it will get propagated faster across all the nodes in the network. So you can also find the documentation about these endpoints in the Quick Node add-on information or on our documentation website, docs.blockscout.com. So that's pretty much it about the JSON RPC API. And so the last API, which I think is the most interesting for you to try as part of this hackathon, and which is the most recent addition in our API suite, is the transaction interpretation API, which is actually the API that parses this little summary line under the transaction details header that you can find on almost all Blockscout instances. Basically, that's an human-readable way how users that are not very technical and who are not deeply familiar with how the blockchain transaction works. They don't quite understand what these different token transfers are, how to interpret different logs, or what the internal transactions are. So they just see this a bunch of different information that's just hard to interpret when the people are just seeing it for the first time in their life. So that's why we decided to do this short summarization API that allows you to compress all this information about the transaction that we have already in the UI and in the Blockscout APIs and in the database, about the transaction itself, about the logs, the token transfers that happened inside these transactions, about the information that we decoded the transaction call data from, about the contract that's been called. So this API, what it does is that it aggregates all this information and uses the large language model to comprehend them in the single template string with certain parameters that can be displayed for the user in a nice and easy to understand manner, which basically allows just user to get the idea what really happened inside these transactions. Was it a swap transaction on some particular DEX or DEX aggregator? Was it just a random function call inside some verified smart contract? Was it some mint of an NFT or burn of some tokens that were previously minted in different transaction? So stuff like that. You have really a lot of these different templates for different actions. And we are actually working really hard on expanding this database of different templates. We are working on supporting different protocols, improving the support for the already existing protocols, and fine-tuning this LLM and its parameters for more precision in this summarization accuracy, basically. So if you look at the data that this API returns, basically the most important piece of data in the API is that it returns this type of the template that we are able to decode with actually what this action was. was it a mint, a swap, a burn, or some random function call. So basically it returns you this template string, which is a fixed set of different templates we have available in our transaction interpretation service. And then it also returns you the set of parameters with different values. You can also find these different types of values that are supported within this transaction interpretation API. So we have like string, numbers, addresses, token addresses, and so on. And so basically the API returns you the template, and then it returns you the template variables that you may use to fill this template in. And then you can use this transaction interpretation to incorporate in your own UI dashboards, in your own chatbots, or any stuff like that. Basically, whenever you feel like user needs to get some short summary of what happened inside a particular transaction, and you just have the transaction hash and basically the chain information where this transaction cache came from, you can use this transaction interpretation API to get this template string. So that's pretty much it about the APIs. One more thing I want to mention about the Blockscout features that we are really trying more developers to adopt is the Blockscout smart contract verification. So it's not a requirement in this particular hackathon, but if you are planning to deploy or interact with any smart contracts through the Blockscout instances, we are really asking you to also go a bit further and verify your smart contracts within the Blockscout. So there a few ways you can do that. You can always submit your Solidity or Viper contracts through the Blockscout UI. You can integrate Blockscout API for it as well, or you can use some third-party tools and plugins to automatically verify these contracts or automate it as part of some script or developer workflow. So we support tools like Sourcify and the automatic import from their database of verified smart contracts. And there are other tools for automated smart contract deployments that we also support that allows you to basically verify the contracts in the Blockscout with a few CLI options. So I'm talking about the tools like Catapult, Foundry, Hardhat, and tools like that. So if you plan to deploy your contracts on any of the Blockscout supported networks, then please go ahead and verify the contracts in the Explorer. You'll see a nice UI for the verified contracts. You'll be able to look through the source code. You'll be able to read and write and interact with the verified contracts without writing the UI. Just it's useful sometimes to debug particular issues, just to be able to directly interact with the particular methods through the Blockscout UI. So yeah, that being said, now let's talk about the bounty that we are offering throughout this hackathon. So the main prize for this hackathon is, as Sahil already mentioned, $1,000 split it equally between two winning teams. So together with the rest of the Blockscout team and the QuickNote, we'll be looking at selecting two best projects that use any of the above mentioned QuickNote add-ons with Blockscout APIs. So there's no limitation on what your project may look like or what it may do. Just the only really necessary requirement is for it to use the Blockscout API and to use the QuickNote add-ons with those Blockscout APIs. And then on top of that, we are also willing to offer free QuickNote credits that you may use for Blockscout add-ons for everyone that integrates the Blockscout, even if you won't be eligible for the main price of $500. So we'll select all the teams that qualified for a bounty and hopefully find a way to distribute some QuickNote and Blockscout credits for you to use to continue usage of the Blockscout add-ons and QuickNotes after the hackathon ends to maybe continue building your project that you haven't finished or experimenting with the new stuff, building a new project, and so on. So yeah, basically, if you want to ask me to recipe how you can win within this hackathon and how you can be eligible for this main prize of $500 is basically the recipe for winning this bounty is, first of all, the most important part is that you must use the Blockscout add-on with the either REST, JSON RPC, or transaction interpretation API that are available through quick notes. And then we also ask you to incorporate any, if you have any on-chain links leading to some block explorer in your application, we'll be really thankful for you to put the Blockscout links there. So if you want to refer your users to a particular transaction or a particular address to some block explorer, please use Blockscout there as well and put the Blockscout links in your UI. Then, as I said before, if you're planning to deploy your dApp contracts on any of the Blockscout supported chains, please go ahead and verify your smart contracts in Blockscout too. And also, one more optional thing is that we have the Blockscout dApp marketplace, which is the marketplace and the UI that is available for all the dApps on most of the major networks. So this is a marketplace of dApps you can use throughout the Blockscout UI. You can also interact with those dApps directly within the Blockscout without leaving and open multiple tabs. So if you have this dApp that you just built, please, you can also go ahead and prepare and submit your dApp Scout Marketplace application, and hopefully in the future, we'll be able to quickly list your dApp there as well, and this will just give you a bit more visibility through the Blockscout community. And the last thing is just, we'll be happy to see how exactly you used Blockscout if you show it to us through your inside of your final submission, inside your live submission, or within the text you submit with your project. So just go step by step and explain how you used Blockscout, what you liked, what you didn't like, how it worked for you, and explain which API have you used, and basically show what's the result. So yeah, I think that was it about the bounty. Please go ahead and continue hacking throughout this hackathon. Very excited to see what will be the result and what amazing builds you'll be able to create as part of this hackathon. Please join the Blockscout community in Telegram, in Discord. And also, one more thing is that if you have any questions after this workshop, please go ahead and join either the official Blockscout Discord and ask there, or join the shared Discord for a quick note and Blockscout. So you can see you can find the department channel there and ask this particular hackathon related questions there as well. So yeah, I think that was it for my workshop. Let's see if we have some questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Kirill. So if anyone has any questions for Kirill or questions related to the presentation, please feel free to ask them in the comment section below. And until people gather their thoughts and ask questions, Kirill, would you like to suggest some use cases or some apps or some kind of apps people can make or hackers can make during the hackathon using the Blockscout add-ons or APIs?
I don't have specific examples, but I'll be really excited to see different multi-chain apps that do something about the chain abstraction and maybe do some multi-chain user just ideally I want to see some apps that allows users to simplify their migration and basically find some way to abstract away this complexity between the different networks, and so that users can use your app and use Blockscout without thinking about which particular chain they use. So I think the multi-chain API that QuickNote provides may help with that. Then I also want to see some different form factors like different chatbots, Telegram bots, Telegram mini apps, and stuff like that. I think there is a lot of stuff that can be built there. I'm also excited about any AI related features, some maybe LLM powered apps, stuff so similar that we have already with the transaction interpretation API. Maybe you can build on top of that and that your own LLM powered workflows and do some amazing stuff in this AI direction. So yeah, but overall, just be creative, and we'll be happy to see all the different projects.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So it looks like people do not have any questions yet, but I'm sure there will be questions because there have been already questions in the Blockscout channel, and your team members have been very active helping our hackers with those questions. So if you're watching this after the live stream has ended, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, and if you get any questions during you watching it during that time, feel free to drop your questions in the Block Scout Partner Hackathon channel, which is on Footnote Discord channel, and make sure to join Block Scout Discord community as well, so that you can interact with the Block Scout team as well as their community even after the hackathon and stay connected with them even after that. So if anyone doesn't have any questions, we would like to conclude here. But if you get any questions afterwards, feel free to drop them in Discord. Thank you so much, Kirill, for joining us.
Thank you, Sahil. Thank you.